It is March Madness week. It is bracket time. I know I'm filling out probably about 50 myself, trying to get that perfect one, be the only one in the United States, Canada, surrounding areas, wherever you're watching this tournament from, to try and get the perfect bracket here on 91.7 The Edge, WSUW Whitewater. Today we are also making our show bracket. The Monday and Tuesday shows this week will be filling out the NCAA men's bracket throughout the entire course of the show. But first things first, we have another sports journalism spotlight, this time with Mr. Michael Vandershoot. Everyone give him a little hand here.
Hello, guys.
Michael, so here's what we're going to do today. We are going to have you start. You're going to give us your topic. You're going to run down what exactly we're going to talk about. For about the next 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to give it some hard thoughts and conversation about your topic. So take it away, Michael. The floor is yours.
Okay, sure. I was hoping to go for a local school here that hopefully could make a chance here of like doing something, or they're kind of a team that's on the bubble. I'm going to be talking about the Wisconsin Badgers. Of course, they're going to be going against James Madison on Friday at Barclays Center, and the game will be on CBS. What? I can't.
Can you not hear yourself?
Oh, okay, there we go.
You got it now. You're good now?
Okay.
Cool.
But yeah, anyways, so yeah, they're currently 22-13, and then they went 11-9 in conference, and they're coming off a loss against Illinois, 93-87. But with all that in mind, going against this 31-3 James Madison team that just won the Sun Belt Conference, how do y'all think that this team fares up against them? I can start with anyone can add on.
Floor's yours, guys. Take it away.
First of all, I would say that's probably not the draw Wisconsin wanted coming off a loss in the championship game. James Madison is easily one of the hottest teams in the country right now. And for as well, I would say, Wisconsin played in the Big Ten tournament, this is not a team you want to face. That being said, Wisconsin still is one of the hottest teams in the country. And I could see really this game going either direction. I could see James Madison come out swinging. I could see Wisconsin's experience and, past tournament experience getting them to the next round. So this is probably one of my favorite matchups of the first round.
Well, I got to say, though, the thing with Wisconsin that irks me a little bit is, on one side of the coin, they have been getting into foul trouble a lot lately. And that part scares me a little bit, especially going against deeper rosters like JMU going into this tournament. JMU's got 3 double-digit scorers and one that's at 9.9, so we'll call it 4 double-digit scorers in their starting lineup. They're a very spread-out offense with Terrence Edwards, the junior guard from Decatur, Georgia, leading the way, 17.5 points a game, and then 4.5, 3.5 in rebounds and assists. That gives me a little bit of worries, especially if it gets to crunch time and let's say Tyler Wall fouls out for the 3rd straight game in a row. And Tyler Wall has been great defensively this year. So has Chucky Hepburn. Chucky Hepburn is
amazing,
arguably the best defensive player in the Big Ten this year, a Power 5, Power 6 conference. If you really think about it, this Wisconsin team, it's not as much of a matchup nightmare as you would really think. The problem with JMU for Madison going forward is that they are very spread out, especially on offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like everything that you said. As we know, Badgers are a veteran team, right? And they've kind of gotten where they've gotten from their defensive performances, and I don't think they win this game unless they have a complete defensive performance. JMU can light it up on the offensive end, and like you said, like you had mentioned, they're super hot right now. I think, what have they lost 1 game out of the last 9? Something like that?
No, they're easily one of the hottest teams in the country. Started off around, I believe, 15-0, beat Michigan State.
13 straight.
They've won 13
straight. I mean, 2 of their losses have come against the same opponent this year in App State.
Appalachian.
And their one other loss that wasn't to App State was a 10-point loss to Southern Miss back on January 6th.
But, I mean, conference games are always going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, like you said, hopefully AJ Storr can put the Badgers on their back. And
that loss that Michigan State had at the beginning of the year started to look a lot better.
Right.
Well, exactly. And then you got to think about it, too. Like, they've also beat Howard by quite a bit this year. Howard is another tournament team this season. They beat Michigan State. They beat Buffalo, who's, I think they're in NIT now, if I'm not mistaken. They've also beat Old Dominion, who we've seen in tournaments in the recent past. So they have some pretty signature wins for a mid-major school. That gives me a little bit of the heebie-jeebies as a Badgers fan going forward. But
I was gonna say, is it wrong to be a little nervous about this?
Not at
this
all.
upcoming
I got that.
game?
I
I'm
got
a
that
little
as an
nervous.
upset. To be honest,
it's not wrong at all, especially considering that 12 upsetting 5 is one of the more popular upsets in statistical history when it
See.
comes to the Madness tournament.
I got
thing-
James Madison actually going to the Sweet 16.
I can see it easily.
Yeah, but my thing I'm like big on looking at is like the strength of schedule towards the end of the year. And Madison's is like 4th, so that shows to go that they've been playing really good, and they beat a lot of great teams. So that's one advantage I'll give them right now. That's like really important. I feel like in college basketball, but anything could happen, like I said. So
Yeah, I agree. It's just that's the scary part about the March Madness, though. I'm not going to sit here and be like 16 seed's going to go win the championship this year, but
Oh, definitely.
literally anything can happen. So
This year
we
has
can
been
see.
absurd.
Remember,
Yeah.
St. Peter's is back in the tournament.
Yeah.
As a
Come on.
15 seed yet again.
As a 15,
Yes.
Tennessee facing the 15 seed right away in the first round. I
I
mean,
think Tennessee
Gotta
wins
give
that,
Tennessee credit though, but I get them their win. But they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose to Texas.
I think I could see that too. Max Asmus transferring to Texas before this season. I mean, he's
Oral Roberts
shown
legend.
it with Oral Roberts in the past that he's an electric shooter. He's a true number 1 option
Especially
in
with
any
Dylan
offense
DeSue.
you put him in.
Texas going to the Elite Eight.
Could see that. Let's stay focused here on Madison JMU. Michael, any other questions regarding that matchup?
Not necessarily any other questions, but just other interesting facts that I just figured I would point out. I mean, statistically speaking, James Madison is better at just about everything except for one thing, and that is free throw percentage. James Madison is only shooting 70% from the free throw line this year, which for a D1 team is not that terribly impressive.
That's a
48%.
240th
They're
out of
shooting
all Division 1
48%.
teams.
And
Yeah.
free throws in March are huge.
And when you consider that
and
there's
Madison isn't that much better, but again, they're at least like above 75%.
and there's 362 teams in Division 1, so they're bottom third when it comes to that statistical category.
Yeah. And then another thing I want to mention is Wisconsin also was last in the conference in the Big Ten with only 1.6 blocks per game, which is like embarrassingly bad. But
It doesn't help that they really don't have a big man, though.
Yeah,
they
they
really
don't have
haven't
a
had
true
one since
center.
Ethan Happ.
Yeah.
And before Ethan Happ was Frank Kaminsky. Before Frank Kaminsky, you just got to keep going back. You had Nigel Hayes at that point during that era as well. He was about 6'10", 6'11". Go all the way back to the Michael Finley teams. There's never really been a true big man of any of these good, notorious Wisconsin teams. So that does have a cause for concern. But they were able to handle Zach Edey pretty well.
That was a
in
fun
the
game.
Purdue semifinal game in the Big Ten tournament. So really quick, before we move into the bracket, just really quick, who do you have winning that matchup, guys? Michael, let's start with you. You're hosting this segment.
personally, I think that Wisconsin is going to end up pulling away with this game. I just think that with the momentum and how they've been able to compete with all of these teams so far, I think in a way they remind me a lot of what the Warhawks were this year, but in the opposite. They started off bad, but now they're making their way and finding their groove.
I got Wisconsin too. I think this whole upset watch thing is a little bit out of the ballpark here.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to Wisconsin. They're very battle tested. We saw it in the Big Ten tournament. They nearly took out Illinois. It took to the last few minutes of that game for Illinois to finally start breaking away with Terrence Shannon leading the charge. Marcus Domask also had a huge game that game as well. But I think Wisconsin's going to have this isn't going to be an easy layup. No pun intended, but it's certainly not a losable game for Wisconsin.
Yeah, I agree. I think Wisconsin takes it, and I think it's going to be pretty convincing as well. I don't think it's even going to be that close. I think they'll set the tone defensively from the get-go. I got Badgers plus 12 in this game.
Oh, wow. So I'm going to also take Wisconsin, not by nearly that much. I think it's going to be one of those games that comes down to the final possession. That being said, James Madison's no pushover. This is, I believe, their first tournament appearance in school history, if I'm not mistaken. And I just think the first 10 minutes of the game, they're going to come out firing away. But I think in the second half, ultimately, just Wisconsin, because of their recent success in the Big Ten tournament, will overcome that adversity and pull away in the end.
I mean, I got Wisconsin as well, but I don't think it'll come down to the wire like that. I think it'll come down just to the middle fourth quarter. I feel like, or middle second half. Excuse me, but
So, like, what would be the early fourth quarter?
right,
Yeah.
Like 5-minute mark.
Yeah, 5 minute mark. I feel like it'll come down to that margin, and then they'll start pulling away a little bit, but it'll be close all game until that time stamp right there. So
I'm taking James Madison.
I respect it though.
not a
Because
bad pick.
they
He's
have
got
one
a
of the
Bears
best.
hat on.
And the
They,
Illinois sweatshirt. Come on.
Yeah, I'm taking James Madison. They have one of the best guards in the country, and I like Chucky Hepburn a lot. I ain't gonna lie, but he, the guy that's coming played at a high D1 level. He played at Boston College in the ACC, so he's at James Madison now. So I'm gonna take James Madison. I mean, a lot of people not giving him enough credit for real. I mean, what I saw at the beginning of the year to go into Michigan State and win that game convincingly, like that, and they had the season that they had 31 wins is a lot, and it's hard to do as well. So
Regardless of strength of schedule. I
Regardless.
agree.
Exactly. Well, Michael, we appreciate you hosting this segment. Everyone give him a little hand.
Hey,
Great job, brother.
all right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, so we're going to get right into the tournament matchups here now. Remember, first round's got all the big matchups, so let's not take too much time discussing each. We only got 49 minutes, now 48 minutes to go with these matchups. Michael, we're going to start with you, and we're going to go right away into the East region. UConn, the 1, taking on Stetson, the 16.
Well, first of all, I just want to say congratulations to Stetson. I think this is also their first ever appearance, I want to say. But
It is.
unfortunately, they got put up against arguably the best team in the entire country. I don't think they're going to win. I think that UConn has this one in the bag.
UConn.
Let's go, Jalen here. So after UConn taking down Stetson, we
Stetson
have
is going to
FA.
win. No, I'm just playing.
We got
UConn is winning.
Florida
convincing.
Atlantic, a Final Four team from last year, going up against Northwestern. Boo Booey, does he have it in him?
Yeah, I would take Northwestern in that
Yes, sir.
upset because Northwestern has been playing some of the greatest basketball that they've been playing in the past couple years. This is like one of the highest rankings they have as well in the past few years as well. So, in the Big Ten wise, not the seeding wise, but yeah, they play really well in the Big Ten. So,
And Northwestern does tend to defend the perimeter pretty well, which is where FAU starts to struggle offensively.
I'm pretty sure they beat Illinois in Illinois
They
this
did.
year.
They did
Northwestern.
Northwestern.
So yeah, I think they battle tested. They ready.
They did. Let's kick it to Nazir. You have the 5 versus 12 in the East. San Diego State, UAB.
I got San Diego State, dream college right there. But
Same here.
they struggle so much. They make a lot of silly mistakes every year. But I think this is their year to kind of push a little bit farther than they usually do past the second round. So I'm gonna take them. It'll be close though. I feel like because I don't know, UAB's they're not particularly great, but like I don't know, SDSU makes a lot of bad mistakes.
And the thing here is that UAB has really relied on their defense all
Exactly.
season
Yeah.
to get wins and to get them into this spot in the tournament, win their conference championship.
Yep.
But unfortunately, they're probably the worst defense in this field.
Yep.
So
Right.
I gotta go San Diego State here. I'd have to agree with you. Brendan, you know what? Because I did promise you pre-show that you'd have BYU Duquesne, we're going to swap just you and Nick for this one, and then we'll go back to the regular order. Let's go Nick first with Auburn v. Yale, and we'll go to you, Brendan, after that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, no, I actually really like this matchup. It's cool that we got to switch this up. I think this is probably going to be one of the better games. These teams stack up very similar ranking-wise in most categories other than points scored. Honestly, I'm probably going to take Auburn because I've got Auburn. Let me double check here so I don't mess up my own bracket. I've got Auburn going against San Diego State in the second round. So I'm going to take Auburn in this one, and this one will be over before the half. It'll be one of those unreachable games. Johnny Broom, he's going for like 35.
I can easily see
35,
that.
yeah.
I'm just letting you know right now.
Auburn's hot right now.
Averaging about just over 16 a game this year with 8.5 boards per game as well. Danny Wolf, Johnny Broom is going to be an interesting matchup to watch between those two forwards. Brendan, this is where you get to shine, and this is where I disagree with you on this. BYU Duquesne.
So I do like BYU offensively. I really like the way they space the floor and shoot at will, kind of, as you will. But Duquesne and and severely underrated Atlantic 10 Conference.
Heck yes.
Came off a tremendous game against VCU, who was no pushover by any means. Duquesne won that game. And what I really like about Duquesne is of their predominantly 8-9 rotation guys that they run, 7 of them are seniors. And also third in scoring is my high school friend, shout out David Dixon, sophomore from Memphis, Tennessee. But that being said, between just as much experience as they have, watching Day Grant play basketball is truly a sight to behold. And I just think with their size that defensively they can shut down BYU from the perimeter. I got Duquesne winning.
And Duquesne coming out of the
I'm
conference.
thinking about switching my pick from BYU too from that because I've seen him play St. Bonaventure and I was impressed.
That A10 is
agree.
criminally underrated.
See, the thing, though, about BYU, and we were talking about this pre-show, and I've been saying it to a lot of people I'm familiar with, is that BYU shoots the lights out of the ball from beyond the arc. They're they might be the only team, and if they aren't the only team, they're one of like 2 or 3 teams that have taken more threes than twos this year.
Yep.
And BYU is one of the best three-point shooting teams in the nation. And coming out of a Big 12 conference where there's a lot of at-large bids, they had one conference champion in Iowa State who came out of nowhere, got hot, and they also have 7 other teams. BYU is not one of them this year, first year in the Big 12, and they proved that they deserve to be there. Yep. So this is where I disagree with you, Brendan, but because we're making the whole radio station bracket, we're going Duquesne here. I can see the case being made for Duquesne because the Atlantic 10 was a pretty dang good conference this year. You could make the
VCU,
case.
St. Bonaventure, Dayton.
And I think Dayton got in the tournament just based off of rep.
Yep.
You could argue that Loyola, Richmond, and maybe even VCU should have gotten in before Dayton
I
did.
think Loyola should have got it.
And
Loyola, Chicago played well.
Duquesne routed all those guys on their way to the conference championship.
Criminally underrated conference.
But
I got Duquesne.
I do think both you guys threw in like really good takes. I don't even know who, like, if I would agree with you guys either way on what your side. I just think BYU is just gonna out rebound the heck out of them. Like
I disagree. I think Duquesne has way too much size.
Duquesne
They're
got a
one of
guard.
they're,
They have
they're
a
just
lot
one of the
height.
more underrated rebounding teams. I think they're 21st. Brent, let me double check. BYU.
And this is also our first upset of this radio station bracket. But like I said, I love everything I've seen from Duquesne. Like I said, especially because I have a friend on the team. I've been watching a lot of their games this year, and I love what I see from them. And I really liked that they were. I mean, as a 6 seed in the A10 to go through those powerhouses like we mentioned, Loyola, Chicago, Dayton. I think they're battle tested, and I think they can take BYU down.
Northwestern was an upset.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, well,
9
What is it,
8.
though?
Yep.
What is
BYU is one of the top 11 because they're just outside the top 10. They're the 11th most efficient offense in college basketball this year, according to Ken Pom.
And that's scary, dude.
Going to be tough to see. I personally, in one of my brackets, I have BYU Final Four. I do.
I can see the case because I'm a big believer in the 3-point ball too.
Offensively, they're crazy. So, but if they get stopped one game, it's one game now. So
Well, yeah,
It
it's
is.
live and die
That's
by
the
the
beauty of
three.
March.
It's win
It's
or
live
die.
and die by the three.
that's why I don't trust them at all.
But they're
that's one
great
team.
rebounding
Rothstein, this is the dark side of March here.
That's one team that Illinois does not want to see because as soon as they play like a team like that, they are going to lose.
This is our second upset of this bracket. Our first true upset, though,
yeah.
because Northwestern
Right.
FAU 8 versus 9, it's interchangeable.
Right.
My game is Morehead State the 14 facing Illinois the 3. And though Marcus Damask is not a great 3-point shooter, he's still arguably the number 1 option on that offense, and you still have Terrence Shannon Jr. You could definitely make the case Damask averaging 16 points a game this year. Damask has been terrific, especially from mid-range and on cuts down low to the basket. Illinois is a very efficient team on the ball screens. I'm going to go Illinois here. It's pretty plain and simple to see. Morehead State is not a single quad 1 or 2 win this season. And like I said, Terrence Shannon Jr., that's enough to say.
40.
Exactly.
He's a stud.
That
not
might be
even a
slightly
crazy
biased
thing to
take,
say.
but Terrence Shannon Jr. is...
That's not even a crazy thing to say.
40.
Though. Like,
He's that good.
he really is.
40 and 34.
Now let's kick it back to Michael. Michael, you got the 7 versus 10 in this region. Wash State versus Drake.
All right. In this game, I'm going to pick another relative upset here. I will take Drake over Washington State.
Yep.
Good pick.
Good take.
Yeah, we
Good
all got
pick.
that. Yeah.
I don't know. Washington State hasn't necessarily been that impressive to me. Like I'm looking at their schedule. They have a lot of recent losses to teams that aren't in the tournament. So
Drake's played a
And
lot
Drake's
of better
hot.
teams.
and Drake is hot right now. They beat out Indiana State, who I thought was going to make it, but No.
Drake's played better teams, and they're 9-1 in the last 10
Yeah.
games.
And the
9-1 last
Pac-12
game.
is not that great of a conference.
Not at all.
Better
Yeah.
teams, but you got to remember their strength of schedule is also not the greatest this year at 120th, according to KenPom. Again, they've faced better offenses than they have defenses, but they're also a very efficient offensive team, the 38th best offensive efficiency in college basketball this year, and still top 75 on defense. And anything can happen in March. So I agree with that. Let's go, Jalen. Here you got the 2 versus 15. Iowa State, South Dakota State.
Iowa State by 30.
Good take.
Agreed.
Good take. They're red hot. right now.
Milan.
They
And
just
this
beat
is a-
Houston. They beat Houston twice this year, the number 1 team in the country.
insane.
And this is also a team that we were talking about last year is making a potential Final Four run in the bracket,
I can
and
see
now
it.
they're back and even better this year.
Milan,
Elite
baby.
Eight, that's what I got.
Milan Montilivic is all I got to say.
Can we
All
just talk out real quickly just how stacked that East Conference is?
Yeah.
And,
It's
and the East
four
region.
conference championship.
Four
Four
conference
champions.
I mean, you could make a case for really 5 teams in that region to win it all, and only one's going to go to the Final Four. That region is so insane.
It's going to be probably the most
bloodbath.
highly contested region in the tournament this year. Nazir, let's go to you. You got the 116. First off, Howard versus Wagner. Who do you got coming out of there? In the 16, the game-in matchup.
I didn't even think about that one, actually. I'll take Howard in that one.
That's a safe play.
Eighth year
I'll
senior.
take Howard in
Safe
that.
play, 8th year senior, yes, sir. Lonzo Ball and those guys were still in college basketball when he was a freshman.
That's crazy.
I'll take Howard in that one, but unfortunately, they're going to get stomped on by UNC because their offense is unbelievable.
And UNC's got arguably 2 or 3 pro-ready guys right now.
And
Like guys that
they've
can play in the
100%.
NBA right now.
They're-
Armando Baycott, RJ
Yeah.
Davis. Like they got guys that are arguably
Yeah.
they could be competitors on an NBA roster
They're
right
very deep, too.
You can make the
They're a
case.
deep
They're
team.
good,
You
but
can
I don't
make
think
the
they'll
case.
play.
Let's
I
go-
don't think Armando Baycott's an NBA
Prob-
ball player. I don't
Well,
like.
we'll see. We'll see once we get to that point here in April, not April. Once we get to June.
I've
or
weirdly
so.
never been a fan of him.
Mixing
I
up
don't know
drafts
why.
here. I like Baycott.
I like his heart.
I do like Baycott. He's a bruiser down low, gets a lot of boards, gets easy buckets.
Not flashy,
He
but
involved
gets
that
the job
one and done
He's,
crap.
he's his archetype's like Tim Duncan, and I
Yep.
think that profiles really well for this traditional base style offense that North Carolina runs.
Their
Let's
offense
go,
is great, man.
Brendan here, back in the regular rotation. Mississippi State, Michigan State.
I'm really happy that I got to get my school. I'm a big Mississippi State fan. Finally, back-to-back years making the tournament. Great defense for Mississippi State. Unfortunately, in pretty much every bracket I've done, I just can't see Mississippi State getting past Michigan State. I know Michigan State's not the Michigan State of old, but I can't pick against Tom Izzo in March. And as much as I love Tolu Smith and Demario Davis and what they've done at Mississippi State this year, I got to roll with Michigan State.
I like Mississippi State going against tougher opponents. They have a few more signature wins this year than Michigan State. But
They had
I
a big
do
win
respect
against
the play.
Tennessee in the SEC tournament.
Michigan State's got a chip on their shoulder now. People were saying they should have been the 1 in the NIT. There's something to prove here with Michigan State.
I just can't pick
Tyson
against
Walker,
Can't pick
I'm telling
against, Can't pick against Izzo in March.
Tyson Walker.
Nick, St. Mary's, GCU.
Ranked top 65 in offense and defense. I'm picking the upset, Grand Canyon
Good play.
University.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir.
Quick,
It's
7
going-
seconds.
Everyone calls me
offense.
crazy for that one, man.
I got
No,
Grand Canyon too.
I like what they've been doing. They're actually both relatively hot. They've been winning games and pretty good games too. Both in the last 10, won 8 out of the last 10. I think it's actually going to be just a really, really good game, and it's
That's
going to
gonna
come
be a fun
down.
one.
That's gonna
But
be fun.
I don't
I
trust
got
St.
Grand
Mary's.
Canyon University
The
coming out on
Antelopes.
top and moving on.
My sister went there.
I mean, the only thing good about St. Mary's is that they beat Gonzaga last. So
Gonzaga's not Gonzaga this year.
Yeah,
They're
they're
not.
they're
Gonzaga.
not-
They're not
yeah.
true Gonzaga.
The West Coast
Anymore,
Conference
really.
is not that great. I love Grand Canyon.
They played 3 times, and I don't know. They beat them 2 out of 1. So
I got Alabama versus Charleston, the 4 versus the 13. And one thing that makes me think that this could be an upset is, I have the affiliation towards teams that really shoot the 3 in college, high-scoring offenses, play like NBA-style offenses. I do have a little bit of an affiliation towards that. However, neither team plays defense, and Alabama is much more battle-tested going against SEC competition. Though Alabama is pretty rough against Q1s this year, Charleston's red hot. It's a tough toss-up to make. I got to go Charleston here.
I
think
like
this,
it.
I
I
think
like
they
them.
make it out because they're one of the highest scoring offenses in all of college basketball 2 years consecutively.
Okay, they
And
are
last
10-0.
year they didn't make it out of the first round. Talk about a chip on their shoulder. They got
man.
like the whole bag of chips on their shoulder this year. I got to go Charleston round 1.
They are 10-0 in the last 10 games.
And Alabama lives and dies by the 3. I
And
think
by Mark Sears.
Oh,
that
man,
game's
this is
going to
tough.
end 100-96.
Yeah,
None
it's
of those
probably
teams
gonna
play
be-
defense.
Probably going to be the highest scoring game in the tournament this year.
I agree.
Alabama, Charleston. Charleston's so hot right now. I got to ride with them.
I
gotta ride with
100%,
the
I
13.
100% agree.
If there's a 4 versus 13 upset, that's the one.
I didn't pick it, but I like it for my actual brag.
I think
This
I'm
is
gonna-
coinciding
yeah,
with mine,
I'm gonna
like
stay with
hand for hand right now.
Michael, let's go to you. Clemson, New Mexico.
Okay. Well, I guess it doesn't make it as fun for me to say this now, but again, I think that New Mexico will beat Clemson.
Yes, sir.
I love all of these
It's a
so
good
far.
take.
This is like my entire bracket
It's,
right
it's
now.
a good take. So next pick here, Baylor versus Colgate. Unless, Michael, you got anything to say about how Clemson could possibly win this one. But New Mexico,
Jalen House is
Riding
a
hot.
dog.
Jalen, let's go to you here now. Baylor versus Colgate.
Baylor by 50.
Agreed.
Good take. Colgate gave Wisconsin some issues a couple of years ago, but outside of that, there's nothing about Colgate that screams round of 32.
Man,
No.
I keep getting blowout games.
You do.
Iowa State, Baylor, come on, bro.
Every time he's
Hey,
going up, he's
we're
just
gonna
been
keep
like,
working our way
by
around.
30.
Once we get to the Sweet
mean,
16, it'll be a lot more.
I mean, it's just.
This dude's had four-word responses to each one.
I mean, because
'cause
look
it's been
at
2
the, who they playing.
It's Colgate.
All right, I'm
The toothpaste.
for this Dayton versus Nevada game. I'm gonna go with the upset on this one. I'm gonna go Nevada. I don't know. I really like Jared Lucas on that team, the guard. He's very well-rounded player. He can give Dayton a run for their money, in my opinion. I just don't like. I'm not really that impressed with Dayton. Their free field goal percentage is, that talks numbers, but Nevada has the same one. They're both 47%. So it just comes down. It's going to come down to who really wants that game, in my opinion.
And Nevada's got better signature wins this year compared to Dayton's win over. Or their 1-1, I should
And-
say, against VCU this year. A win
And-
against the Bonnies, a win against Cincinnati. Nevada's got better signature wins against teams that are in the field of 64 this year against TCU. They're 1-1 against San Diego State. They did get blown out by New Mexico, but they beat Utah State.
Yep.
They had another game against New Mexico where they barely lost. UNLV, Boise State, they took them down pretty handily. I would have to agree with that as well. Nevada's just a little bit more battle tested.
And I believe
I
Jared
think
Lucas.
that's closer
got
than
a
we
20
think.
I
point-
think
No, it is
Jared
close.
Lucas
No,
was
it's
on that
close.
Oregon State team that made the Elite Eight. No, am I getting that wrong?
I don't know.
I believe that was 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he's a grad transfer, but I could be wrong.
It'll be a close matchup.
He was a grad transfer.
Yeah,
My
so
bracket, I got to give it to Dayton.
Oregon State was an Elite Eight team, I believe, 3 years ago, and he was the head of that team too. So
Something about
I
that
love
18.
him as a point
I'm
guard.
with you. I do think I would have picked Dayton, but I think it's just going to be way too close to call. But
Going to be a great game.
Dayton's a great three-point shooting
Yeah,
team.
they're 30,
as well.
40%. I think as a team.
Yeah.
they're tough.
Bro
so,
got it. Bro averaging 20.
One of the better ones in the country. And Brendan, you got the short end of the stick here. Arizona
That's
versus
fine.
Long Beach State.
Well,
I do want to shout out Long Beach State. They have one of the
Congrats
fun
to them.
stories going into the tournament, how they mutually agreed to part ways with their head coach, and
And then they
then
won
they
their
end up winning the conference tournament. So that's pretty cool. That being said, Arizona by 25.
Arizona
I mean,
by 60.
Arizona by a bill.
I love Long Beach State's story. They're definitely like the fun team to root for, but not a
I
chance.
can see that
Arizona
being a
should have been a
Cinderella
1
team,
seed.
though. I can
Nick,
see that
another-
team being
Hot take.
Cinderella.
Another long team, Longwood, going up against the consensus number 1 or number 2, depending on how you slice it, in Houston.
Yeah,
Eric
my team,
Houston
baby.
by
Dude, just let's move on. We already know
Arizona.
this is going to
So
be
we got
bad.
long. We all got
That's
long.
We
gonna
all got Longwood then, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
let's
going to be the worst one.
We'll go Houston here. Houston's probably going to win by 40. Their starters will get pulled after the first half.
They're angry right now too after that loss.
I've got the next one, the 8 versus 9, Nebraska versus Texas A&M. And lest we forget that Nebraska has never won a March Madness tournament game.
Is this their year?
I think it is. Nebraska runs a very spread offense, and A&M's gonna. While they are stout defensively, they're gonna have a tough time going up against Nebraska's offense. Nebraska plays in an arguably better conference in basketball in the Big Ten versus the SEC. You can definitely make the case for that. Nebraska is gonna get their first tournament win in program history this year.
I really like their guard. Sorry,
Tominaga?
sorry if I didn't want to butcher it.
Yeah,
but
you're good.
He's insane.
Yeah, he's a dog.
He's a dead eye.
I don't know, like.
But Wade
where he,
Taylor's
like,
popping a triple double. and they're gonna win.
he shoots the absolute lights
agree.
out, bro. I don't know.
I like A&M.
There's something wrong with him, but yeah, Texas A&M.
He said
man.
there's something wrong with
There's
you.
something wrong with him, man.
When he
he's
dials
shooting
in, man.
It's probably gonna. This might be one of the closer games of this tournament too.
You
I
can
mean,
go
just-
either
way.
You can go
Well,
either
yeah.
way.
I mean, these 8-9 matchups are.
Interchangeable.
It's the same team. pretty
Exactly.
much,
But
so.
I like
They're-
Wade Taylor
According
so much
to
at A&M.
ESPN's Basketball Power Index, A&M is 36 and Nebraska's 37. Though the tournament committee had them seeded as Nebraska 8, A&M 9. It's a little bit of a toss-up here. Nebraska was better in conference, in a better conference
Arguably.
than A&M. You can make the case. I'm going Nebraska here. There's a first time for
You
everything.
can't hate on it.
There's
you
a
know.
first time for everything. And sure enough,
can
Michael
justify either way.
gets his topic teams. Wisconsin versus JMU.
Oh, okay, sure. I guess we'll go over this again. I think that Wisconsin.
Run it back.
I think that again, with everything I said earlier about how I just think generally like not only like again they've been more hot recently, Wisconsin has, but at the same time they're generally just a bigger team, so I feel like in a way they'll be able to bully them in the paint.
I agree.
They've been playing very physical basketball lately, and that's what's getting them into foul trouble, but Greg Gard loves that. Greg Gard wants that to be the case. He wants his guys to foul out. He wants them to play hard, play physical, basically tackle football on the hardwood. Jalen, let's go to you. Duke, Vermont. Duke, really?
Yeah.
Elaborate, because I think this is one of those matchups that could be a 4 versus 13 upset.
Yeah, I don't see. I don't know. Flipkowski. I mean, even though y'all saying he's soft, but Jeremy Roach and Proctor, they already got that March Madness experience already, and I'm leaning on that a little bit more than I would Vermont in an upset though.
And just more signature wins as
More
well.
I don't think
Well,
TJ Long
Vermont
can do
lost to Colgate,
Yeah.
and
That's their one comp.
that doesn't look good.
They've also lost to previous tournament teams in Liberty, Bradley, and Virginia Tech as well. Did beat Yale this year, 66-65. And UMass Lowell. They had to prove it 3 times that they deserved to be in the tournament over UMass Lowell. So
Yeah, I just
Lowell
believe.
had a
They
great
also got
team this year.
smoked by
I just
Virginia Tech.
I just believe
the,
Roach.
case
Proctor
can be
is
made,
probably-
but it's a really tough case
They're
to make.
they're a team that prioritizes defense, but they do not nearly have the size to contend with Duke.
No.
No.
Roach and Proctor been there before, and I know they gonna be in that locker room saying, "Hey,
They are a hot
Come on
team,
now.
though.
And I
Vermont is
love
hot.
so I love
Duke
Jeremy
Badgers
Payne.
And
matchup?
this sets up the rematch.
Oh no.
We'll get to that bridge.
Nazir, Texas Tech, NC State. Toughie here.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, I hope you pick what I think you're gonna pick.
Man, dude. This is why this is one of the harder brackets.
not
For
that
me.
hard for me though."
I'm gonna go, man. I'm gonna go NC State on
Yep.
this one.
There you go.
Let's
Attaboy.
go.
That's it.
Good
Let's
call.
go.
Not that hard for
The
me.
hot train.
I have to.
Got it. They just beat North
They're
Carolina.
insane.
Bro.
They're
Nearly
so
by double
good.
digits.
Didn't they beat
Jim
Duke,
Valvano
too?
is
Yeah,
smiling.
they beat Duke,
Jim
too.
Valvano is
Yeah,
smiling.
They're
Maybe.
so good.
They went
They gonna fall to
into
Kentucky,
Duke,
though.
beat
Oh, yeah.
Duke, went into North Carolina, beat North Carolina.
Oh my
Yeah, they
god,
beat
they're
two of the-
so
two
good.
And
of
as
the
a
best
10
blue
seed in the
bloods
ACC
ever.
tournament.
Yeah.
And they won it all.
They're gonna lose to Kentucky, but geez, they're so good though.
Texas Tech does have wins against BYU, Kansas, Baylor, and another one against BYU this
Home
year as
court
well.
merchant.
Lost both, lost both to Houston this year, both on the road. Kept up within 8 against Iowa State, but I think NC State is arguably the safer pick to make here. Brendan, Kentucky, Oakland. Should have been UWM, but what do I know? 2 straight years in the Horizon League Championship, and you can't figure it out. But I guess it's just with Wisconsin teams that we're just not second half teams.
I love
Insert
upsets. I see no path to victory for Oakland at all. Kentucky, and even though like Kentucky just notorious for one and dones, Rob Dillingham and that team that Calipari's got, Kentucky by 30.
Nick, Florida versus either Boise State or Colorado. Who do you have coming out of that play-in matchup, and then who's taking the win?
Boise State is
Boise
coming
State?
out. And Boise State's going to make some noise.
Okay.
Boise State is going to beat Florida. And
Boise
move on.
State shouldn't even been in the field of 68, but
No,
I
you're not
digress.
wrong. And that's going to be the one thing where people.
That's the bag of chips
we've
on
been
the
needing.
shoulder.
We've been needing a team that was like not really supposed to be there. That kind of makes a little bit of noise. They'll lose after this round, but Boise State over Florida.
It's not even just the bag of chips on the shoulder for Boise State here. It's the chips on one shoulder, the guac on the other.
Yep.
Wait, what?
My matchup is Marquette, Western Kentucky, and this one's a fairly easy one to guesstimate. Simply put, if Tyler Kolek plays, Marquette wins.
Yep.
Arguably the best point guard in the country right now. If Tyler Kolek
Yeah.
is fully healthy, which he is, Shaka Smart has confirmed that and confirmed that he will play this week, they're going to win this game. Western Kentucky has not faced a quad one opponent this year. Marquette is playing in arguably the toughest conference in college basketball in the Big East. They're much more athletic than Western Kentucky. They're at full strength. Marquette should have zero issues against Western Kentucky. Let's go back to Michael. Purdue versus the 16.
Okay, so I guess first I should pick who will win the Montana
Yes,
State
that's
Grambling.
right. Montana State Grambling, sorry.
I think that Grambling State will pull away with that one. I think Montana State just got a little lucky in their Big Sky tournament. And y'all are going to love me for this one. I'm also taking Grambling State over Purdue.
Whoa! Oh, okay, explain that, please.
Back-to-back years?
Please explain that.
Back-to-back
No, this would be
years.
like 4 straight. This would
not
be
gonna
4
happen.
straight years where
Not
Purdue
happening again.
loses
Not gonna happen.
in the first round
Zach
to a
Edey gonna
double-digit
get
seed. This can't matter.
There is zero.
Never have a
again.
child
All right,
in
you
college
gotta
basketball
had that
again.
you gotta
up,
just.
bro.
All right, what's your reasoning?
Please justify.
Well, I just think it'd be the funniest thing if history was...
North
And-
Texas.
And Grambling State is hot right now.
North
North
Texas.
Texas,
They-
St. Peter's in the second round.
Farley Dickinson, and now Grambling.
Grambling.
Come on.
I don't think a 16
I-
wins this year.
I don't think so either, but I'm here for the
mean-
chaos, and now I'm
I
rooting
mean-
for that.
I would be so for it.
Grambling State. What if Grambling doesn't win though? That would stink.
Yeah, but it's all right. At least we still have the 16 picked, so we'd still get the points for
Yeah.
it. Let's go, Jalen here. Utah State, TCU. You got a tougher matchup now.
Yeah, here we go. I was leaning Utah State for a while,
Such a toss-up.
but
Gosh, that's a hard one.
I mean,
that's a really hard one.
the way TCU been looking down the stretch,
I got TCU.
I got to take TCU on that.
Jameer Nelson. Jameer Nelson Jr.
balling. I'm grabbing TCU on that.
TCU takes it. Let's go, Nazir, Gonzaga, McNeese.
Brendan, you were right, man. Gonzaga, they're just not the same. Man.
McNeese, bro.
McNeese is gonna win that game.
Yeah.
But they're not
They
winning
have-
next round.
No, they're
McNeese
gonna
to the
lose.
final
Oh, they lose to
four.
Kansas.
They lose
Just
to
saying.
I'm
Kansas.
making Final Four. Let's relax. But they're winning this. They're winning against Gonzaga.
Okay,
Yeah,
they
well,
are beating Gonzaga. I think we
Brennan,
got.
if you win my bracket pool again this year with McNeese going to the Final Four, you're never allowed to do it again. I'm just letting you know that
Well,
right now.
it's going to be Shahada Wells, bro. He's going to play
Oh,
a great
yeah.
game. He's such a well-rounded ball player.
He's great.
McNeese is just they got to go. They got to.
They are hot.
guard heavy team
I'm
out
all
there.
over McNeese, and based on everything I've plugged in for my percentages and everything, I think they can make that. I think they're that Cinderella this year.
I would genuinely be scared if I was Gonzaga. I'm not gonna lie.
McNeese.
Yeah.
I would genuinely be
Who
scared.
is my
Gonzaga's on the
Cinderella?
way out,
My
dude.
Cinderella's
Their
Jazz.
reign of terror is over. They're on the way out. Let's go to Brennan here, Kansas and Samford. I think I already know your answer.
I'm gonna take Samford.
That's what I thought.
Oh.
No.
Hunter Dickinson and
Cousins,
KJ
man.
McCullough are not fully healthy, and
No.
Samford is the best offense in college basketball, scoring 86.
Samford.
Oh my boy!
No.
We're on March. We're talking March Madness. We can leave the
we are
Kirk Cousins.
talking
The Kirk
chaos.
Cousins. Yeah.
This
No.
is March.
But I love Samford offensively. Dickinson and McCullough are not 100% right now, and Samford is just so hot. Shoots the lights out from three. I've watched a lot of their games this year. I think Samford matches up with them. I like Samford.
Nick, you got South Carolina, Oregon.
Yeah, I think this is a interesting matchup for sure. Oregon was playing awful basketball for like a 5 or 6 game stretch. I think they lost like 6 in a row. Then they rattled off 3 to end,
And win the Pac-12.
and then win the Pac-12.
They're healthy now.
They're very healthy.
Nafali Dante.
I really like. I don't even know how you say it.
Dedante.
Cousinard.
Oh, yeah, Cousinard.
Cousinard down there, down low. I'm taking Oregon, man.
Yep.
I got Oregon winning.
Yep.
I think they're a little hotter.
We have
They
the
are winning.
11, 12, 13, and 16 getting
That's a
out
fun
of the
region.
Midwest.
Well, and
16 is crazy.
I've noticed with South Carolina
That's
too. It's kind of like
crazy.
by committee as well. They don't really have a true dude that's just running the floor for them. So I like Oregon here. I do.
I got 14 Akron versus 3 Creighton, and let me give some explanation here. This has a great chance of being on upset watch, and it's a better chance than people think because Creighton does let up a lot of offensive rebounds. As
So
soon as the
many.
shot flies, everyone's out of the paint. The nearest guy's at the elbow,
actually
right?
true.
So that makes me think that guys like Enrique Freeman and Ali from Akron are going to have
Ali.
big night when it comes to rebounding the ball. Creighton does have a tougher strength of schedule this year. Akron obviously does not because the MAC is an extremely weak conference outside of maybe Kent State. It's about it. Akron has faced some of the worst opponents in Division I men's basketball this year, but that does not mean that Akron can't do it. Still give me Creighton, though.
Okay.
Region's chaos.
You can we ain't drinking yet.
You can make the case though that this matchup might be the toughest matchup Creighton has until the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
You could make that case.
Well, because
Creighton plays down
Oregon
to their
wins,
competition.
I don't
Oregon
think
is
they
gonna
pass
be-
If
Oregon.
Oregon wins, I think they'd beat Oregon pretty substantially.
I don't know about
No,
that.
I am
yeah,
not
they
sold
would.
on Creighton at all.
I'm fairly sold, but I think Akron has got something to prove this year, and they match up very well against Creighton. I'd argue that this game here is probably Creighton's toughest matchup, and it's going to be one of the games to watch in this field of 64.
I've got Creighton going, and they're playing Tennessee in the Sweet 16,
So do I.
then losing that game.
Let's go,
Texas
Michael.
beating
Texas versus either Virginia or Colorado State. Who you got coming out of that matchup, and then who wins between them and Texas?
I think that Virginia is going to win that.
It's so unattractive.
Well,
it is very
but they-
unattractive, but they have the
defensively so.
experience. Jay
No,
Bennett's still there.
actually, I changed my mind. I'm going with Colorado State
All
on
right.
second thought.
Let's go there.
All right, I'll
You
throw
like
in Colorado
chaos?
State, and I think
I don't think
It's-
it's that hard.
it's tough. I'm gonna go with Texas.
There we go.
Texas.
Even they don't
Max
seem
Abmas.
that impressive to me right now, but
they
I
play
just
Virginia, they'll
but,
lose.
but again, I don't know if Virginia or Colorado State
trust
should even be
Virginia.
in the tournament. So
Say it with your
And
chest.
especially Virginia shouldn't.
If they
But
play Virginia,
Texas
they
will
lose.
take them down.
Virginia's
Jalen, you got
so
the last
unattractive.
matchup in the round of 64. Tennessee versus St. Pete's.
This ain't St. Peter's again. Tennessee by 50.
Tennessee is going to take down St. Peter's, put them back in their place. Nazir, now you got that bottom matchup in the Midwest. Round of 32 starts here. Texas and Tennessee, the 7 versus the 2.
I got Tennessee in that one.
Safe pick.
I don't
Yeah.
trust Tennessee.
I don't
You
trust
don't.
Texas.
Why? I'm curious.
I don't trust Texas at all.
I've seen them play
Tennessee's
some of the
too
SEC
inconsistent.
teams. They did not look good at some of them games at all.
It really just depends on which version of Dalton Connect shows up. Is it the one against Mississippi State or the one that beat Kentucky? So I mean,
it was going to be the one.
They have lost some pretty
Max Adams
notable
already
games.
has had that run
A&M,
before
Kansas.
too. He got that
Purdue.
experience on what it takes.
Tennessee is arguably the best defense in the country as well, going up against Texas' high-powered offense in the top 20. Texas isn't great defensively. Texas has also had a top 40 strength of schedule this year, while Tennessee's faced arguably the best offenses in all of college basketball, and they've proven time and time again that they can shut down great offenses on defense. Brendan, Oregon Creighton.
I'm gonna roll with Oregon.
Okay.
I really like how hot Oregon is
I agree
right
with
now.
that.
I agree,
And
yeah.
Nafali Dante, in my opinion, is the best big man in college basketball. He proved it in the Pac-12 tournament. I think he matches up very well with Creighton. I think he destroys Kalkbrenner. I'm going to take Oregon.
Nick,
Yes.
the 12 and 13, McNeese and Samford.
That's insane.
I
This
got
is quite a matchup.
That's insane.
That's in my normal bracket. I have that exact
McNeese.
matchup.
McNeese and Stanford.
That's insane.
If that's the case, McNeese winning by 20.
Oh, Samford. I'm sorry. In my bracket, I've got McNeese and Kansas.
Same.
I mean, out of those two, I'll take McNeese.
Yeah.
McNeese.
And thus the Final Four run begins.
Oh my goodness. I've got Grambling. We're assuming Grambling versus TCU, which is wild. But I mean, if history tends to repeat itself, I mean, let's
it
be
doesn't
real.
tend. It does.
Let's
they're
be
gonna
real
lose.
here.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin just exposed Purdue for what it is, and that is if you make Zach Edey dribble the basketball, you will beat Purdue. It's that simple. Zach Edey is a god-awful ball handler. But let's go TCU here, just because I don't see a 16 making it past the round of 32. It's
Nine.
never happened before and never will again.
9, 12, 11, and 2 in the Midwest.
Michael, you've got Marquette versus Boise State, we're assuming.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I will take Marquette.
Safe pick.
They seem relatively underwhelming, at least for like a number 2 seed, but I still think that they're better than Florida. So, or wait, do we or Boise
We have
State?
Boise
right?
State, yeah.
Boise
Boise.
State.
I think if
I still think
Florida,
we're in the Boise
if
State,
it's
yeah.
Florida Marquette round of 32, Florida wins that.
Yep.
I think
I-
Florida's
that's
gonna-
Exactly. I got that actually.
My
Marquette
have
will
Florida
be
bracket,
Marquette.
I've got
They suck against Florida. I don't know
beating
why.
Marquette.
I have Florida beating Marquette as well.
Wisconsin teams do not play.
I also-
No, they don't. Chris
Ridiculous.
Chioza's
Yep.
still giving me nightmares to this day, right?
Against Boise State, though, then yeah, again, Marquette.
Jalen, you got NC State, Kentucky, 11 versus 3.
NC State looked real good against North Carolina, but I'm thinking
And Kentucky's not the Kentuckys of old anymore.
They're
It's the
still
one,
great, though.
one and done merchants.
Yeah, but Kentucky is
still
they
great.
found themselves later on,
Yep.
and I'm gonna take Kentucky with it.
Kentucky
Reed
Safer
Shepherd is a
pick.
dog.
takes down NC State. Nazir, the rematch, 2015 national championship. We got Wisconsin and Duke. This one. I will
I
drop
got James
everything to watch this game.
All right.
Sorry, girlfriend. I will be staying at home, snug in my bed, watching Wisconsin beat them.
Yeah. I have to take Wisconsin here. I feel like their revenge is going to be on a different level, especially going against Duke. They're one of the most hated teams I feel like in college for all sports. I feel like at this point.
And when AJ Store is hot, there is no stopping AJ Store.
Hey man, I'm
Anthony
a
Edwards.
big Chucky fan. He elevates that team defensively.
Merchant
a lot.
defensively.
So I got Wisconsin on that one.
Brendan, Houston, Nebraska.
Houston by 30.
Houston
go.
by 30.
There we
Safe
go.
pick. We're going to go back to the West region here. Nick, you have Arizona, Nevada.
I'm obviously going to take Arizona, but
They have a really easy.
they do have
Arizona
kind of
has
an
some
easy
really
route.
easy path.
Arizona's got probably the easiest route to the Final
In
Four.
Tennessee and
In my
Arizona.
bracket, I've actually it would have been Arizona, New Mexico
In the Sweet 16.
in the Sweet 16.
Well, good thing we still got New Mexico versus Baylor here
so I'm
for
curious.
me. And I honestly, I know Jacoby Walter is a baller for Baylor.
He's all right.
Ray J. Dennis, especially when it comes to passing the ball around, being that facilitator
I
on
like him.
offense, 7 assists per game. New Mexico's offense is just too potent, I think, for Baylor. And I know
100%.
Baylor's notoriously a high-scoring team as well, but New Mexico's been able to lock things down defensively this year. We take a look at the KenPom standings. Defensively speaking, New Mexico is a top 25. And in terms of adjusted tempo per possessions, New Mexico is super quick on offense.
Yep.
The 8th fastest offense in all of basketball. Baylor's had arguably the toughest schedule in all of basketball this year, too. They're very battle-tested, but New Mexico's got something to prove here. I got the 11 going to the Sweet
I
16.
love that.
Love it.
I got that pick too.
Another 12 versus 13 here. We got to keep things rolling along. Michael, Grand Canyon and Charleston would be an exciting matchup in the round of 32.
Charles.
Yeah, we just think see one of these teams make it to the Sweet 16. Yeah, two really. Well, I mean, Grand Canyon's big online school, but not necessarily in person. But anyways, I think Grand Canyon's going to win this game. I
Defense
think
versus offense.
It really
Charleston.
is.
Grand
Still on.
Canyon to the Sweet 16.
It's an unstoppable
insane.
force versus an immovable object, really. It's
Yes.
a tough matchup.
Like 65-60.
How did they beat Alabama? I don't ever get it.
I just.
Highest
Red
scoring
hot.
game of the tournament.
Red
No,
hot.
that's
That's
not
also
happening.
another.
It's not.
That one is for defenses in that game. That's stoppable force versus movable object. So what's really going to be the case there? It's a toss up, but we got Grand Canyon Sweet 16. Jalen, UNC, Michigan State. Don't even get me started.
Michigan State's my dream school.
Don't even think about it.
But
Come on.
Don't
my
even think about it.
mama loves North Carolina.
There it is.
So I'm gonna have to go North Carolina on this one.
Shout
But
out all the moms
Michigan State
listening today.
bust my bracket.
That
Bust
would
my
be
bracket.
that'd be a nice play. Nazir, Iowa State, Drake.
Iowa State, not even.
That's coming from the
Got
Drake
you there.
fans.
Come in.
It's coming from a
Gotcha
Drake
there.
fan. It's my third favorite college ever. So
you
Iowa
go.
is going
Top
to
three.
be buzzing in that game because Drake's in Iowa.
They are.
Yep,
That they are.
It's
Des
Iowa.
Moines.
It's Iowa.
Illinois versus Duquesne for Brendan.
I love Duquesne, but not happening. Illinois by 25.
Gotta be.
Terrence Shannon Jr. and Marcus Damask.
Shannon
be.
dropping 50.
Nick, Auburn, San Diego State.
That's a mischievous smirk.
San Diego State.
San Diego State University.
I severely disagree.
Come on,
San Diego
Why
Give
not?
it to me.
I got
I
University.
think the region has something
No.
to do with this matchup as well, because you got to remember
Such a
this
hard
this region, geography be expletive here. I mean, this East Region games being played in Spokane, Washington. So you got to think about it this way. San Diego State definitely is going to have some semblance of home court advantage here. And I think just how stout they've been defensively over the last couple seasons, being a Final Four team last year with that experience,
Jordan
I
Ledee,
ride with
man.
it. I ride it.
Malcolm Butler.
UConn Northwestern, no questions asked. UConn's going to win that matchup.
Sorry, Boo Boo.
You said Butler, right?
Yeah.
Sweet 16 here, staying in the East. Michael, you got UConn, San Diego State.
Rematch of the national championship.
I think we know where I'm going.
It's a great game.
This is a rematch here. One
This is a
versus
good
five.
game.
Everybody knows who I'm
Mike,
going
this
with.
is a good game.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Huskies here. I think that they're going to move forward.
It's-
San Diego State
it's a
should
safe
not
play.
be this far, but
It is a safe play.
You really think that, though?
I do not see them winning.
I think
against
they're
UAB.
my BYU to him.
Mm-hmm.
I
that's a fair take.
I
UAB is not
severely
beating
disagree.
San Diego State. It's not-
Yaxel Landeborg, remember the name. Book it.
Jeez.
Jalen, Illinois, Iowa State.
That's such a good game.
I would love to pick Illinois, but Iowa State's too battle tested.
They're too good.
I hope they
That's
bust
gonna-
my bracket
Dude,
too.
that's going to be a buzzer beater game. That's going to
That
come
is.
down to
I
the
don't think so.
second.
Iowa State is so battle tested.
I think the winner of that game is going to win the national championship. In my
Really?
humble opinion.
And Iowa State's got, you can make the case that Iowa State has one of the best defenses in all of college basketball.
They made Houston
Illinois
look
has got
silly.
one of the best offenses, though, too. I mean, it just
That's what
kind
I'm
of,
saying.
for me, it comes down to strength of schedule, and I think Illinois has just got a little bit tougher opponents, a little bit more battle tested.
All right.
But that being said, it's your pick. You're
take
taking
Iowa
Iowa State.
I mean, the Cyclones beat the number one team in the country twice, so
Nazir, UNC Grand Canyon, is this the end of the road?
No, UNC.
No.
The end of the road for Grand Canyon.
I was about to
Oh,
say,
yeah.
when you said no at first, I was like,
I just so stoutly said no. I was like,
I was confused for a second. I was like,
Grand
no,
Canyon
you-
going to Final
Grand
Four.
Canyon
UNC
Online
antelopes, the
University.
UNC is going to Final Four.
so then Brendan,
To
you
this
got.
Elite Eight.
Is this the end of the road for New Mexico here? New Mexico, Arizona.
Yes.
yeah, Arizona advances.
Arizona advances.
Arizona has probably the easiest path, in my opinion, to the Elite Eight.
Nick, you
Yeah.
have Houston and Wisconsin.
Ugh.
Oh, we picked Wisconsin. Oh wait, that's right, we did.
They're my actual
Unfortunately, I mean, I'm always gonna ride with the Badgers. I did pick Duke to win that game. I don't want you guys to be upset.
I'm a
about
little.
that, but
I'm just slightly
it is
upset.
understandable.
I got Houston.
I'm gonna cry after
I got
the show.
Houston by a mile over Duke or over Wisconsin. Sorry.
That's a fair take. Kentucky Marquette.
That's a fun one.
Kentucky Marquette is definitely going to be a matchup to watch because I think Marquette's guard play really complements, really complements UK's defense in a roundabout way. I think they match up very well. That's going to be a tough game for either side to really come out on top of. It just comes down to who's played better opponents.
Didn't they play last year? If I'm not mistaken.
They did.
Didn't Kentucky knock Marquette out?
I'm pretty sure
That was
yeah.
in the round of 32.
Yeah, and then Kentucky lost to Kansas State. Yeah. Marquette lost in the round of 32
And
last year.
Kentucky is really efficient offensively. I think what this matchup comes down to is coach experience, and John Calipari blows Shaka Smart out of the water. I got to go Kentucky here, taking
I like
down Marquette. Marquette makes it the furthest they've made in a few years, though. Mm-hmm. This would be the Sweet 16 would be the furthest they've gone in a while.
Yeah,
Michael,
who do we got to start the Midwest? I'm curious now.
TCU and McNeese.
Jeez and Rice.
Wait for it.
I'm going with McNeese over TCU.
Oh, Brendan!
this guy.
McNeese to the Final Four.
This guy.
Remember the name.
Michael, stop feeding him lies.
We have to come back to the
Gosh.
7-minute mark left in the episode.
Am I gonna get this game? Oh no,
McNeese.
Nazir's got it. Oh,
Which one do I have?
you're gonna have the McNeese winner versus this next game, Oregon, Tennessee.
Oh,
Jalen, speaking of Oregon, Tennessee.
I had Texas, but I'm gonna take Tennessee.
Tennessee
He says defeated.
McNeese.
Cause I had Texas going to the Elite Eight, but
Nazir,
Tennessee versus McNeese.
who you got?
If McNeese makes it that far, I'm still gonna pick Tennessee. I'm still gonna pick them.
Tennessee, like we just mentioned, they're a top 3 defense in all of college basketball. You can make the case that they're the best.
They make it this
And
far.
They've played so many great offenses, and McNeese. I mean, let's take a look at their KenPom side. I mean, in terms of KenPom, McNeese is up there in the 60th spot in overall KenPom rankings. They're 51st offense, and Tennessee has gone to war against the best offenses in the country this year
And one.
and won.
I
Sorry,
have,
Brendan.
yeah, no, it's fine. I have like that exact same path to the Elite Eight for McNeese. The only one that I really feel is a stretch, because I think they get past Gonzaga fine, is the game against Tennessee. I don't hate the pick. I have, let's see, Houston, Kentucky, Houston.
Houston over Kentucky. I feel like that's a fair,
Too much experience.
That's a fair play. So, Nick, you now have North Carolina versus Arizona, two teams that you could say both deserve to be in the Final Four.
Wait, we said Arizona won?
Arizona is the 2 seed.
Yeah, Arizona beat New Mexico.
Oh,
Yeah.
I picked Arizona.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right.
I literally have this in my bracket. I'm pretty much almost identical with what we have, but I got North Carolina.
North Carolina.
So-
I think it's going to be. That's probably going to be the best game out of all of them in the Elite Eight, personally. Actually, I don't know. Houston, Kentucky might be good too, though.
That would be quite a matchup as well.
But yeah, I'm taking UNC.
So I have UConn, Iowa State, and call me crazy here.
Winner of that game wins the national championship, if that happens.
I would agree with that as well.
Wait, what? I'm sorry.
Winner of UConn, Iowa State in the Elite Eight would win the national championship. Because you got Red Hot versus Blue Blood. And Blue Blood just came off a win last year, won it all. Not much roster turnover there. They've only gotten better. And they beat Marquette this year, stomped on them a few times. They've stomped on the whole the Big East Conference. I mean,
So who will win?
call me crazy, Iowa State.
Oh, wow.
not
Okay, I
crazy.
did
Call
not
me
think you
crazy.
were going to say
Iowa
that.
State.
It's
What
really
is
not
up with
crazy.
everybody doing the opposite build-ups
That's
today?
not crazy.
You just build up, build up, build up.
I
Iowa
don't think
State
it is
UConn
either.
is a toss-up.
So
It is
now,
100%.
Yeah.
in
it
our
is.
final four, the first matchup here, we have 5 minutes to go. Michael, UNC versus Iowa State.
That's exactly what I had.
I'm going to take Iowa State on. I
There
think
it
it's pretty
is.
easily.
Well, I don't know.
I-
There it is.
Honestly, I'm not even sure that North Carolina should be number one seed.
Easily?
I agree. I 100%. Like I said, whoever comes out of the
It's
East is
so
going to win it all.
tough,
Dude,
though,
UNC
because
is so
UNC would probably be better than the Detroit Pistons this year.
Okay, let's not
Okay.
get carried
No,
away.
no.
All right.
All right,
Easy,
relax.
easy.
But
Come on, we're not talking about
Relax.
Kirk.
No.
I don't like that. But, like, you know.
Well, I feel like we have to come back to that. That's going to be a staple joke for the rest of the year, by the way.
They're so deep.
All
though.
right, Kirk Cousins.
I love Iowa State, though, man.
Jalen, you've got Houston, Tennessee.
Houston.
Defense versus defense.
This is quite tough. Houston is so electric on defense, especially when it comes to screening. Every single guy who's getting screened goes over and they send, for lack of a better term, a blitzer.
Yep.
They're always double teaming and their help defense is so efficient that it shuts down even the best offenses. The only teams that beat them are the teams that are scalding hot.
Correct.
So
Oh, now we're gonna have a
Houston
Big
wins,
12
and we got a
championship?
Big 12 championship.
So
Wow.
Again?
I was thinking
They
maybe
gonna play
like
each other
all of
4
us do a
times?
pick and then like majority wins
Yes.
to determine the national champion.
So, Nazir, we'll start with you. This one is Iowa State Houston, a rematch of the Big 12 Conference Championship game.
It's crazy because they're going to have played each other 3 times already.
Man, if we're doing Houston, Iowa State, I have them going against UNC in my actual bracket, but I mean, I still
It's gotta be Houston,
It's got to
bro.
be Houston.
They're not
I've
going to
had-
lose
They're
a
not
big
going to
game.
lose 3 times.
I've had Houston winning since the beginning of the year.
See, but
So-
that statement, though, that's exactly what I thought about Marquette going against UConn in the Big East Championship, is that I didn't think Marquette was going to lose to UConn 3 times in 1 year.
Yeah, but one's Marquette and one's Houston.
But that's also fair. This
The
is a
coaching
fair
is
take
completely
to make.
different.
I think
It
Iowa
is
State
very
is-
fair.
This is a good year
I-
for Houston
I
to get
got
over the
Houston
hump.
winning.
I think Kelvin Sampson has gone through enough, pain in the past as 1 seed, 2 seeds. In this matchup, I would take Houston.
So 2 Houstons.
I'm going Iowa State, dude.
I respect it.
I can see it
wanna
going
pick
either
that.
way.
Dude, I don't even think, bro. Like, let's be honest. The 2 games, because they're 2-1 over Houston this year.
Yep.
The 2 wins they've had were, I mean, it wasn't even really that close.
But I don't think they can do that in the championship atmosphere.
don't
though.
think so,
No,
though?
I don't think they can do that exact thing.
I think
again.
when you got a team's number,
yeah,
it is
You got
just
it.
one of those things. It's like that's like saying let's go into Dallas as the Packers. That's the only thing I think of. You know what I'm saying? Let's go do this.
Let's
this
go
is the
into
same
Milwaukee
team.
as
We've
the
done it
Miami
at the
Heat.
same time. Let's continue to do that. I think Iowa State easily wins that game.
easy.
I'm going to ride Iowa State as well because if you can beat Illinois, UConn, and UNC 3 straight games in a row,
Nuts.
you can definitely beat Houston to make it 4.
And I know I kind of eat crow. Like I said, the winner of that game would win the national championship. But I in this hypothetical, don't see Houston losing again.
I just
Michael.
don't see it.
It's all up
Who
to
you
Mike,
got?
isn't it?
Michael and
It's
Jalen.
2-2.
Oh,
2-2. Michael.
Okay, well, I will give Iowa State the lead. I think that
Mm.
Iowa State will win.
Jalen,
Houston is not losing 3
They
times.
can't.
So we're at a split.
we're at a split
Rock, paper,
3-3.
I think.
All right, guys.
Do a flip the coin app.
All right, so first, heads will be Houston because they're
Okay,
the
that's
top
fine.
seed.
And
Tails
tails,
will be
Iowa
Iowa
State.
State. Flip a coin.
It's gonna be heads.
We're going to do 2 out of 3, by the way. We have
Okay,
time.
I like that.
Heads for 1.
Okay.
Houston won.
Flip a coin. Flip the dang coin. Come on, I got to redo it. Flip a coin. Tails.
Okay, that's 1 on this side.
Flip a coin. Tails.
Let's go.
Iowa
Hey, show the camera.
State.
Hey, I don't mind it.
Oh,
I don't mind
I
it.
already
It's
took it off.
not a bad bracket at all.
Tails.
I like
Iowa
it.
State takes the win. How many points do you think?